Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. Guys, we're taking a look today at the top center free agents available here in the 2021 free agency class here for the 2021 NHL offseason. So, I have 5 names here, 5 of the bigger names. It's not necessarily the 5 biggest names available, but from where we're at, these are the 5 biggest names I could come up with. So we'll be looking at that in this video. So we're going to start off with the 5th option, and that is Ryan Dzingel. Ryan Dzingel, 29 years old, and he's coming off a contract where he's making $3.4 million with the Senators. Now, he didn't play that big of a role with the Senators, kind of playing as a middle six player, not a guy that necessarily is going to be a huge name on the open market, but he's going to be in the conversation as a guy that can come in and play in your middle six. The only problem is he's going to be a little bit expensive. He's probably not going to take a pay cut, if he's going to take a pay cut at all. So making $3.4 million, you would expect his contract to be anywhere between $3 to $4 million, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that's necessarily how much he's going to make, but based off of what we've seen and the market being set, I wouldn't be surprised if Dzingel got around that number. Say if he went to a team that has more cap space looking to add some depth, especially down the middle. And then we're going to number 4, and we are taking a look at the New York Islanders' Cizikas. I think he is a very underrated player. He's considered a 4th-line player, but for a lot of his career with the Islanders, he was a 3rd-line center until the Islanders' center depth got a lot better. I mean, you look at the Islanders' center depth ahead of him, probably one of the best center cores in the league with Barzal, Nelson, Jean-Gabriel Pageau, and Casey Cizikas. So losing Cizikas is going to hurt the Islanders. Any team that's picking up Cizikas this summer, you're picking up a guy that is going to, he's not necessarily the best goal scorer. He's not going to be a prolific goal scorer for you. He does come up clutch in the playoffs like he did in that overtime game against the Bruins. But for the most part, a very defensive-minded player. He's a very, very, very good forechecker. And I think any team that's going to get him may be surprised at the time. They'll be like, all right, we got Casey Cizikas. But when you see him on the ice, in person, in the fall, you realize just how good of he's just a hard worker. He's hard to play against. And he's the kind of guy that, again, he's making $3.35 million right now. I wouldn't be surprised if his number went up. I really wouldn't. He's 30 years old, which is the downside for him. I don't know how much term he's going to get. But I would expect anywhere between $3.5 and $4.5 million at max for Casey Cizikas this summer on the open market. Even 4.5 seems high. Probably somewhere between 3.5 and 4. Might see a little bit of an upgrade in his price. But again, with the flat salary, that may be difficult to do. So he may end up in a team where they have more cap space. But again, he may not be on that winning team that maybe he was with the Islanders. So that's something that we'll see. I'm still holding out hope that he stays with the Islanders because there were points during the playoffs. He was the Islanders' best player. So I think any team that gets him definitely going to like what they see in Seeker. Now we're moving up to number 3 as we are heading to a Stanley Cup champion down in Tampa Bay. Blake Coleman at 29 years old. He's making $1.8 million in his most recent year here with the Bolts. He is definitely going to see an upgrade. Out of all of these guys, he's probably going to see the most significant upgrade in his price. He's got the Stanley Cup name to him. He's only 29 years old. He doesn't have that scary magic number 30 yet, which does help him in the free agent market. Again, you look at some of these other guys that are around the same age, in the middle of their prime. Blake Coleman is going to get a raise, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was anywhere between 2.5 and 3.5. Maybe at max if a team is desperate and they really love Blake Coleman, 4. But I'm thinking between 3 and 3.5 on the next deal for Blake Coleman. All right, so now we move up to number 2. And this is another guy like Cizikas that I really think is going to stay in his city with the Nashville Predators. But Mikael Granlund, at 29 years old, he's making $3.75 million this past season with the Preds. But he's another guy that may not see as big of an upgrade because of his price where it's at. It's a pretty fair price for Mikael Granlund, especially in a flat salary cap. I wouldn't be surprised if it's anywhere between 3.5 and around 4 to maybe 4.2. Nothing really over that in Mikael Granlund's next deal. Again, you're expecting term, you're expecting different factors that could be involved. This is a free agency. If I'm a team with a lot of cap space, I would be genuinely concerned because some of these guys, they're good, but what's the price? And that is something that we are going to soon find out this summer, but I could see him getting somewhere between that number. And then the top free agent center available here is Phillip Danault of the Montreal Canadiens, a huge factor in the Habs' success going on the Stanley Cup run that they did this year. Phillip Danault is a lot like Casey Cizikas, but you could play him as your second-line center and even at points your first-line center on a team that's still retooling, rebuilding. And I think that's going to raise his price tag. Phillip Danault, 28 years old, so he's the youngest guy out of these four guys. And not to mention, he's making $3.1 million on his last deal. I could see him getting somewhere between $4 and potentially $5.5 million per year on his next contract. I think some of the teams with more cap space will look at him. Teams like the New York Rangers that maybe want another center. The Ottawa Senators seem like a good place for Phillip Danault as well. The LA Kings, I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings maybe looked at him on a shorter term deal because they still have guys like Turcotte coming up. You have guys like Byfield continuing to develop down the middle. So long term, they aren't going to need Phillip Danault, but this is a really solid guy. And if you have a pretty solid top six, solid top two centers, Danault could be a really, really, really good third-line center for your team. Kind of like a Jane Gabriel Pageau-esque player, but he does score more. And I think Danault is really his biggest asset is he's really difficult to play against. And we didn't see that as much in the Tampa Bay series, but you look at the first three series, he was really difficult to play against. A real thorn for the opponents that he had in the postseason. So he's a playoff performer. And this is really, I hate to say it, this is the top guy on the list, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Phillip Danault is a good player, and he's going to probably get paid for it because you could argue he is the most valuable center in this year's free agency class. It doesn't seem like the Habs are going to re-sign him, so we'll see what happens. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who did I miss in this top 5 list of top free agent centers available? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.